Silence.
Okay.
So, Derek, start us off with your number. Now, listen, Derek, this is your top album of 2020. This is the big kahuna. Okay.
I understand the criteria.
Okay. Top album.
So
top
number five
Yeah.
was ABR.
Okay. ABR Guardians.
I mean, it's straight up metalcore. Everything I love about ABR is in that. I stopped listening to him for a little while when I stopped listening to metalcore for a couple years, and this album brought me back to them.
Okay.
When I heard Paramount, I was like, yes. And then I just listened to the whole album, and I was like, okay. And so I've been listening to it a lot, and so it is metalcore. I mean,
Adam, I want to just throw it over to you real quick.
Okay.
Yes, ABR at number 5. What do you think of that?
No comment.
Okay, Adam, number 5 album of 2020.
My number 5 album is Hollow Front with Loose Thread.
Wasted so much time.
Wow. Okay, so Alan had him at number 9. You're at number 5.
Yes, I have him at number 5. And again, it's a recent addition.
Okay.
Honestly, from an overall standpoint, I think from an honorable mention, I had Like Moths to Flames on there. Didn't crack my top 5, but very good album. But I had I had that.
All right. So I did have an honorable mention, and I just want to touch on that real quick.
Yep.
And I really went back and forth on this being my honorable mention or my number 5. I ultimately settled on this one being my honorable mention, and that is Loathe. I Let It In, and It Took Everything. I really enjoyed this album. I think for me, what it was is they had a lot of like the traditional Loathe stuff that I like, but they kind of ventured into that Deftonesy kind of territory, which I didn't mind. Like a song like Two-Way Mirror, I liked a lot, but I think that it had a lot more of that. And I was kind of like, okay, like I like it, but I prefer songs like Aggressive Evolution or Gourd or New Faces in the Dark, I believe is the name of the song. So Loathe is my honorable mention. My number 5 album, this might be a little bit of a surprise for you gentlemen, because I think you probably would have expected it to be higher.
okay.
My number 5 album of 2020 is Alpha Wolf, A Quiet Place to Die.
That does surprise me.
Yeah, I thought.
That would be number 3. I didn't think it was going to be your top album, but I thought it would be at least the top 3.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be top 5 for sure.
I think for me with Alpha Wolf at number 5, I think for me, there's a lot of sick tracks. Like the 3 that stand out to me immediately are Restricted, Creep, and Akadama. I love those songs. Outside of that, the songs are good, but they all, outside of like Don't Ask or Bleed For You, which I do like Bleed For You quite a bit, but Don't Ask is, a little bit more melodic and it's a nice closer. Outside of that, the other songs are also heavy, but it's just I prefer those other 3 heavy songs to those heavy songs. You know what I mean? So I think for me, that's where they end up at number 5 is that they have 3 songs that I'd say 2 songs that I would really return to in Restricted and Akadama. Creep is good. Bleed For You is good. Don't Ask is good. The rest, I would listen to them. I would love to experience them live, but they didn't do enough to elevate them a little bit higher on the list for me. And like I said, I struggle with putting that or Loathe, and I think I went with Alpha Wolf just because it has an overall sonic feel that I prefer in the end. So there we go. That's my number 5 album. Derek, your number 4 album.
Number 4 would be Polaris.
Wow.
Every day like a broken record. Every night is a pointless change.
Okay.
I wore that album out in the end of the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Alan said it best. I can't really say more. Like, he really did, Masochist is like that hook in the chorus is just so good. I mean, Hypermania is like what a hardcore song should be.
Yeah.
It's exactly like if that's what hardcore songs should be to me is what Hypermania is. Like I'm not a huge hardcore fan in a metalcore band, but that's what a hardcore song should be. It has every element that I would like, and they do it perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Polar, that's a great pick.
What is my 4? I don't even know.
Adam, your number 4 album of 2020.
It's my boys.
Oh, I know what it is.
It's my boys. If I Were You.
Oh yeah.
Radiant Dark.
You're nothing more than a word.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, an underdog.
This is another underground Adam pick.
Well,
They're not really. They're
not.
The
I know I said
200,000
that.
range.
I know,
Okay.
I know what you mean, Derek.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think Alan had them at like number like 17 or something
Listen,
like that.
it's.
It's a great album.
I don't want to say it's a breakout album for metalcore, but it is just
Solid.
There's just not a bad note on the friggin' album.
Yeah,
There's just not a bad note, and you know, I've been listening to them since 2017-ish, and I could listen to their discography and not wear it out. And I have been for 3 years.
Yeah, I think
here.
what 2018 and 2019 they were your number one band. Are
they
still,
were my number one band
this year too.
2 this year. They were number 2 this year.
Oh, okay, because I know for 18 and 19 they were number one.
They were number 1.
Yeah.
So, love the boys. They came out with this, killer album. And the only reason they didn't make my what am I looking forward to in 2021 is because I know what they're doing already. So nothing to look forward to. I'm just waiting for it. So, or I know some of what they're doing. I don't know all of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a solid pick, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were you, I mean, we
I don't know. You said it was an underdog, so I don't know.
You
hear it, Randy? You hear it, Dan?
I said that just because.
Guys,
demonetized. Okay, my number 4, this is one that I thought about even just driving over here. I was like, where am I going to do number 4, number 3?
but it only took you 10 minutes to make your whole list.
Well, so I had the initial, I had the albums. It was just like, is this one higher? Is this one higher?
Oh, okay, so just the
was
order,
just
ranking.
Right. So I really struggled with where to go with this, with 3 or 4. And, I'm going to go with my gut. My number 4 album of 2020 is Make Them Suffer, How to Survive a Funeral.
I can't breathe.
I really loved this album. I mean, I loved it. Bones, Erase Me were solid. And those are like the 2 singles that really draw me in. But the rest of the stuff, man, overall is very genty, very chaotic, some really nice choruses, and I just it has a lot of the heaviness that I also liked with Alpha Wolf. Maybe not the same kind of heaviness, but it still has that. But it also has some other really tasteful elements, melodies wise, and just hooks, and I really really enjoyed it. So that's my number 4 album, is an Australian band. We're going back-to-back Australian bands there.
Yeah. Aussies.
Derek, number 3.
Something in the water down there.
I did.
I don't know what it
Kings.
is. Yeah. What we're on number 3?
Number 3.
Number 3 for me is an album you guys can probably guess. It's 100th, Somewhere Nowhere.
But I kinda like it in a low key.
Wow.
I'm throwing that in there. They're technically in the genre.
That's a perfect pick, because this is very different from what we have discussed all throughout the night.
All throughout the night.
It's true.
So, now elaborate. So for people that, because
Derek,
I think of,
you can move your mic down.
I think of Break
I
Free.
can't move my mic down.
Oh, it won't go down more?
That's why. Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
That's why I've been sitting all weird.
I think of the song "Break Free" by 100th when I think
Correct.
of 100th, which is
that's
anything
fine.
like what
Not
they sound
anything
like
like
now.
where they are now. I mean, even off their album after that with Neurotic, it's nothing like that. And they've even taken a more drastic turn on this album. Just something about it. I'm a big indie guy. I love shoegaze. I love every element they did. I actually listened to that album as I built Adam's new computer. Yeah. He's like, "What am I listening to?"
I thought
right
I was
now?
tripping, dude.
He was like,
I'm like,
why are you playing this right now?
Oh my god, you guys see the lights? You guys see the lights?
It's just
Flying snakes.
That's what I listen to a lot. besides metal is pretty much stuff like that. I'd say it's probably about a 60-40 split.
Okay.
So with more the indie side than it is metal. Just what I grew up on.
Yeah, so when you see those funky indie bass lines he's playing on stage, you know they come from him.
So yeah, so that's why I threw that in there. They're in the genre.
No, it's perfect. I
Technically,
think it's a great pick.
yeah.
I mean, it's not anything that I would personally listen to, but I think it's a cool outside of the core genre.
I mean,
pick.
I think everybody should check them out. I think they did a really good job. I mean, the 3 singles they released last year that they put on the album are phenomenal. One of them was actually my top song of the year on Spotify.
Really?
Yes.
Most listened to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Adam, your number 3 album for 2020.
Look here.
It's like he's cheating.
Polaris, The Death of Me.
Am I addicted to the misery? Is this how I'll always be? Crying and sobbing to everyone.
Okay.
They made top 3 for me. Like Derek, I did. I don't want to say wore it out, but I wore it out.
Yeah.
I didn't stop listening to that album. We didn't get to do an album reaction to that because I refused to wait.
I did do it. I did one on Patreon.
You did one. That's right. Yeah, I couldn't wait. I love the album. I mean, again, it's like one of those repeatability. I couldn't get enough of it. I still listen to it. That's it. Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are gonna be very surprised by my number 3 album. I want you guys to take one guess.
Number 3. Did Amir release an album this year?
Like Moths to Flames.
My number 3 album for 2020.
Are you sure it's a 2020 release?
Oh, it's 100% a 2020
Okay.
release. My number 3 album for 2020
is
August Burns Red, Guardians.
What?
I am surprised by that.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait,
Go ahead.
how? I don't want to talk about it too much yet. But how does August Burns Red even end up on your list?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
I think for me what it was is for me with August Burns Red in the past, I've liked them, right? But they've always, to me, have kind of been, obviously extremely talented, proficient players. It's very kind of riff salady. They kind of go all over the place, which I like. They have some cool breakdowns, but I think with this record, what they did is they took what they do best, but also added some of that modern flair, that modern breakdown energy to a lot of their tracks. Like,
So you're a Bloodletter guy.
I love Bloodletter. I love Paramount. Paramount's my favorite track.
Really?
That's my
I just
my favorite
they played
track
it.
as
They
well.
played it live on their live stream.
Yeah, I love that track. I love Defender. I love Lighthouse. I love oh man, there was one other track. Ties That Bind. I really like that one. There was just so many songs that when when I first went into the album, I was kind of okay, like, because August Burns Red's very consistent. They've had their sound. I was like, these guys have never made that radio rock transition. They've always stayed
August Burns
Burns
Red.
Red.
They've always been them.
They're always going to be them.
And I just
We hope.
And I just they did a lot of really cool things. Just like I remember listening to the album, and they did stuff like I believe it was in Ties That Bind. There was like a very simple, just chuggy riff, but then also just some crazy like tapping leads over it.
Dustin wrote that song. So I think they definitely turned a creative approach on this album.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say for now.
Yeah, I think my my least favorite. I just want to pull up on Spotify real quick. I want to make sure I get the names right. But my least favorite on that record.
What is this? Your album review?
Yeah, I know. What are you doing here, man?
Well, I want because you guys are surprised. So I want to. So Dismembered Memory. That was probably my least favorite.
Oh, that's a.
See, that to me felt like traditional August Burns Red. It felt like just one big song with a bunch of different riffs.
That was one of my favorite tracks on the album.
But I'll leave it at that. August Burns Red, man, I think that there's like 4 or 5 songs that I will definitely be returning to. A lot of that modern breakdown energy. So August Burns Red's my number 3 album. Over Alpha Wolf, over Make
I'm
Them
really
Suffer.
surprised at that. If when you didn't say them on number 5, I didn't think they were going to make your list.
Ah, okay.
So
Did you think they were going to be higher for me?
I actually did.
I didn't think they'd hit your list at all, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get to number 2 now. Well, Derek, let's move over to your number 2 album.
My number 2 album was Currents.
Wow. Okay.
That middle of that album is so good. I mean, he kind of like talked about it again. He already talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
I can't really add too much to what he said. But it's just something about it. Like it just grabbed me the first time I heard it. And again, there have about 4 or 5 songs on that I have on just different playlists that I will not get sick of.
Yeah.
I mean, the beginning and middle of that album are so good. And it ends on such a good note as well. Like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's a fair pick. I can't really question it. I think Currents is a very solid choice.
That's funny because that was my number 2 as well.
Oh, okay.
Currents.
What the heck?
What's going on?
What's going on? You guys are the same.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, man. I thought, again, I don't think it was any groundbreaking metalcore, but I just thought the way that the album was put together and the story it told and just the quality and the consistency through it made it a top album, number 2 for me. I thought it was fantastic. The guitar work, I thought everything just fit well. And the vocals, I mean, I don't listen to a lot of the vocals when I listen to music. I listen to a lot of the melody in the music itself. But I found myself singing and screaming to these guys to this album.
Yeah.
So
I can't fault you guys, and that's why my number 2 pick is Polaris.
Oh,
The Death of Me.
But I know by now that the state of mind is just a waste of time, and it's
Yay!
screaming outside.
I mean,
Listen, man, Polaris, The Death of Me, I think that got the highest mark on my album reaction reviews that I've done on Patreon.
which was
What?
what?
I gave it a 90%.
Oh.
Jamie appreciated that, didn't he? Because
Yeah.
you gave some constructive, candid feedback as well.
Yeah, I mean there was I got to be honest. So I gave some candid feedback, but I had some egg on my face in terms of I remembered not liking the song Masochist. And then
Really?
I went back and listened to it, and I was like, man, I do like this. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought I didn't like
Yeah,
this.
and that's why I think it's funny when people go off on us in the comments because we don't like a song initially. And yeah, I mean, I've eaten
It's
my
happened
words
many
a few
a
times.
times.
It's gonna because it depends on what mood you're in. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah. So-
I loved this album, man. I think, Landmine, Hypermania, obviously the 2 standout ones, but All of This Is Fleeting, that breakdown. If you go and watch that album reaction, I was just sitting there, I'm just like, all right, this is cool. And then all of a sudden it came, I was just like, whoa.
Subscribe to the Patreon to watch that album.
Yeah, patreon.com/TrueShotOfficial. Yeah, man, it's one of those albums that top to bottom are just, it's just great. I remember there was one song that I kind of liked a little bit less than the rest, which was probably Martyr Waves, if I remember. I can't remember if there was that one or Vagabond.
I don't know how you remember all these song names, man.
And I'm the same way. That's why I say like 3 or 4 tracks. Like these ones, like I can kind of name them. But
hey,
like,
the riff goes like this.
that's how I am.
Well, I don't know. I really thoroughly enjoyed this album, and now that is 3 Australian bands in my top 5.
We're moving to Australia.
Australia is just they're
they're
killing the
metalcore
metalcore
scene.
game right, man. I mean, right now.
Polaris is just is sick.
So my number 1 album of the year. These boys know it. What is it?
It's Alan's number 12.
Yes, it is Advent Animate.
Wow, really?
View.
I
There's
was
just
not
something about
expecting
that album. I don't know what it was.
It's right in the feels.
Yeah, it sucked me in, and I still listen to it constantly
And
to
it
this day.
spits you out.
It sucked me in and spits me out.
Okay.
But I just, from just the opening track, going all the way to the end. The singles off the album were phenomenal.
Nice.
I could sing along to them. Even like some of the quote-unquote filler tracks have some of the great choruses of the year for me. Like Hollow White's a standout track to me. And again, like Adam, I'm trying to think of other tracks, names besides the singles that I just can't do it.
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, like Cloud Cascade obviously was a fantastic track.
You didn't like that when we reacted to that, did you?
No.
No, I liked
airy.
it. It was pretty airy.
See, I like that stuff. I like
Yeah.
that the ambiance and everything like that.
You're
so.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so Adam, I think we know what Adam's is. Yeah,
You spoiled it at the beginning of everything.
You did.
Why?
You're wearing the shirt.
So what? Maybe they didn't make my list. They almost didn't because I forgot the damn album came out in 2020. But they are my number one.
What?
Your number one. So who is it?
ABR. August Burns Red.
Why is it your number one?
These guys are my ultimate favorite band ever. I mean, I've been listening to them since I was a wee lad, when they were wee lads in Pennsylvania playing in high school. But yeah, I think that they turned a corner with this release. I thought Phantom Anthem was a fantastic release. I didn't think anything was going to beat that or Messengers for me. I mean, I liked everything that they've done. But this album, man,
Yeah,
it just turned a corner, and I think they've done a really good job adapting. And I think the fact that Dustin's writing full songs now, and I know they've always been, doing things together, but Dustin's writing songs. He's playing guitar now. They're swapping. If anybody watched any of the live stream, their Christmas Burns Red, I mean, they're swapping the guitars, and JB's playing bass, and JB's screaming now, and you got in the cover, the Chop Suey cover, you got Jake doing clean vocals. I mean, these guys are not doing the same thing with each release. They're changing it up every single time.
Cohesive unit that just do whatever they want.
Yeah, and it's not. I said it in a couple of comments. It's not about ego with them. It doesn't seem. Again, I'm not personal friends with all these guys, but it doesn't seem like it's about ego. It's about the music. Who can be creative, and whatever gets the job done, and they can all enjoy it. They'll put it out there. I mean, I got to give a hands down to Dustin, man. I mean, he wrote Ties That Bind, and that was my favorite song off the album.
Yeah, that's a great song.
And when they played that live on the Christmas Birds Red live stream, that one hit me.
Yeah,
It was good. It was good. I was just like, man, this song really cranks, So August Burns Red, man.
all of us,
2020.
They also have one of the best, if not the best, metalcore drummer in the game in Matt Grenier.
Dude,
I mean, he
listen.
is so good.
Matt Grenier is.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
I there's nothing to say about him other than
That's when I first heard ABR, when we first heard Messengers. That's what struck me at the beginning.
But think about when Messengers came out.
Yeah.
And he was drumming like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still going on and innovating, and it's still.
He's been that good for that long.
I mean, all of them. I mean, if this been progressing, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
and so all of us, including Al, we all had ABR in our top 5.
Yeah.
Derek at number 5, me at number 3, and you both at number 1. You and Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was not expecting him to say ABR.
I was not either.
I saw the list obviously in advance.
Okay.
I couldn't remember exactly a lot of them, but I remembered some of the bands. I just couldn't remember where.
Yeah, I think Alan's top 3. I think I agree with August Burns Red. That's it for the top.
Okay.
Both are number 1, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so Rich, number 1.
My number 1
Wait,
album.
we're done. This is the end.
See you later.
Bye. Peace.
My number 1 album of 2020. This is going to be met with a lot of hate. It's going to be met with a lot of, Rich, what the hell have you done? Why? How can you pick this one at number 1? I know a lot of people were collectively sort of disappointed by this album, but I loved it. I mean, to me, this is just a band that I cherish with my entire heart and soul. It is Immure.
Of course.
Hindsight.
Of course.
Yeah, so we reacted to that album.
Yeah, and it was one of those at first listen, it was so different from Look at Yourself. I was like, what is happening? And then I listened to it more and more, and it is just so dark and very. It's just a different kind. It's so unique. I know that lyrically people will say it's not anything, and I know that, but I just think that even with that Imure style, Frankie just stays true to who he is, what he wants to do, and they add in all those unique, I don't know, it's just like these unique, like weird electronic elements or samples, and it was such an eerie album. It was only 31 minutes long. I mean, it was
quick.
Yeah, that's wow.
It's short, sweet, and to the point. There's a lot of songs that are just like Gypsy Disco and why the hell is it escaping me all of a sudden? Gypsy Disco and I have it. Pig's Ear.
Okay, so I almost said Pig's Ear, but I didn't think it was off that album.
Oh my God, I don't know why I couldn't remember that, but Pig's Ear, that was sick.
Which was the one that was so heavy it pushed me out of my seat?
That was Gypsy Disco.
Gypsy Disco, that's right.
Yeah, listen, man, I don't know what it is with the Muir, but it's like it just connects with me it just has everything that I love about music, and sonically, I think that this album was super sick. I just it's not uncommon for me to, because I usually listen to the Core 100 playlist, but there's sometimes where I'm just in the car, I'm just like, I just got to listen to this album front to back. I just have to.
It only take you there to the Packy, so.
I mean, I just drive down the street and it's done.
It's done.
Like you go to McDonald's across the street from your apartment, and it's done.
By the time you're out of the drive-thru, boom.
I mean, hey,
you're on second listen.
There's nothing like a trip over to the McDonald's and a Muir listen. So let's just give a quick recap for the people at home for our lists. Derek, start at number 5 and work your way up to number 1.
Number 5. I already forgot.
It was August Burns Red.
Yes, it was August Burns Red.
All right. 4. Go right down your list.
Keep on going. Oh, it's Polaris, The Death of Me. And then number 3 was 100th, Somewhere Nowhere. Number 2 was Current, The Way It Ends. And number 1 was Invent, Animate, Grayview.
Wow. All right, I got Hollow Front, Loose Threads. I got If I Were You, Radiant Dark. I have Polaris, The Death of Me for number 3. Currents, The Way It Ends for number 2. August Burns Red with Guardians numero 1.
Number 5 for me was Alpha Wolf, A Quiet Place to Die. Number 4, Make Them Suffer, How to Survive a Funeral. Number 3, August Burns Red, Guardians. Number 2, Polaris, The Death of Me. And number 1, the almighty, the immortal, Imure, Hindsight.